Alright, what's up everybody? So, we are going to do a different stream today. We made a couple of budget decks because last night in the stream people were asking, can you build a standard deck for under $100? And we did. So we have Monored Cavalcade.
Yep.
And then we also built a Golgari Adventures deck that's super budget too. So the red deck, I believe, is a market price of about $60. And when we get to the Golgari deck, that one's a market price of about $75. So these are not like your tier 1 lists, although there are a lot of good cards in this list.
Yeah.
So Garrison, why don't you start reading them? I'm going to update the images.
Yeah. So first up is the Mono-Red deck that, the Cavalcade deck. I'll be playing that. And so there's 4 Chandra Spitfire, 4 Fervent Champion, 4 Footlight Fiend, 4 Scorch Spitter, 4 Tin Street Dodger, and 3 Torbrand Thane of Redfell. Obviously my favorite card of the entire set.
Is that big enough?
Yeah. And so then it's got...
Yeah, it's big enough.
Yeah. Deck list is gone.
Yeah, I know.
Oh. I was reading through the whole
We're going
thing.
to talk about... Oh, okay.
But that's alright.
I can pull it
back
back up.
You can go back and read it.
Alright, so... Let me do this again.
Doing this on the fly is a little bit harder.
Yeah. Alright, here you go.
Maybe. Alright, there we go. And so 4 Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, Cheryl Blossoms. And then 4 Cavalcade, 2 Heartfire, 4 Light Up the Stage, and 2 Shock. And then just 18 basic mountains and 3 Castle Embereth. Sideboard's a little bit different from a lot of other things that are out there, but 2 Cosmotronic Wave, 2 Embereth Shieldbreaker, 3 Experimental Frenzies, 4 Red Cap Melee, and 4 Scorching Dragonfire. So, a lot of 1/1s.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk about the first card.
So, first card is Chandra Spitfire. Most everybody knows what it does, right? It's a 3-mana 1/3 that flies. It gets pumped whenever you deal non-combat damage. So with Cavalcade,
yeah, every Cavalcade trigger is a +3/+0.
Yeah,
which
it's just a win condition.
We'll get to that card in just a sec.
Yep.
So we're gonna go right through the list. I guess we'll do Cavalcade next. So
with Cavalcade, there is it is a 2-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature you control with power 1 or less attacks, Cavalcade of Calamity deals 1 damage to a player or planeswalker. That creature is attacking.
So of course with this deck you want to play a bunch of 1/1s.
Yep. So the only creature that does not have 1 power when it initially attacks is Torbrand.
Yeah.
So everything else is just based off of triggering Cavalcade.
Yep.
So next creature up is Fervent Champion. 1-mana 1/1 with first strike and haste, and then when it attacks another attacking knight you control gets +1/+0 throughout a turn, and an irrelevant ability at the bottom of it for this deck.
Yeah. The nice thing is that when it attacks, that trigger goes on the stack, and the Cavalcade trigger goes on the stack. So you just have the Cavalcade resolve first, deal the damage, and then he pumps. And of course, the only knight in the deck is himself.
Yeah. So if
you have 2 of them, they can pump each other.
Yeah.
And then we'll go with the next creature here. Footlight Fiend.
So Footlight Fiend, 1-mana 1/1. Although it has the additional ability that whenever it dies, deal 1 damage to any target. So this also does trigger the Spitfire as well. So it's kind of nice.
I'm just reading comments.
Oh, nice.
Pump each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the next creature.
So the next creature is Tin Street Dodger. Another 1-mana 1/1. This one has haste, so you can start swinging immediately. And then also has to pay red, and it can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with Defender. Not a whole lot of relevant defenders here, but of course, even if there are, they don't have power.
Yeah, so
you
can
still
usually
get
just
Cavalcade triggers.
Yeah, if you have Cavalcade and you have him, you can just get in for 2 damage.
Yep.
With basically no resistance, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So next creature, Torbrand.
So this
Garrison's favorite card.
Yes, my absolute favorite card out of the set. 3-mana or a 4-mana 2/4, 3 red and a generic. If a red sorcerer you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2 instead. So the interesting part is that with Cavalcade, each Cavalcade trigger is a lightning bolt.
Yep.
Deals 3 damage to the player or the planeswalker that you're attacking at that point. But then again, with Spitfire, you're dealing 3, dealing 3, dealing 3. The Spitfire gets pumped. It really only takes 2 or 3 creatures to actually make it big enough that you're producing lethal.
We do have a comment. So. Wallaby said, Gingerroot over Footlight Fiend in his deck.
Yeah. I can see that. So
I think I like it over 10th Street Dodger maybe.
Well, the difference with the two of them though is that you got to remember that we're like Heartfire's also in this deck, and then there's some different variations.
Go ahead and pull that one up right now.
So Heartfire being a 2-mana instant, as an additional cost, you sacrifice a creature. So what you can actually do with Footlight Fiend is you can actually attack with Footlight Fiend, trigger on the Cavalcade
trigger. Yep.
and then so the Cavalcade's there. You can actually sacrifice Footlight Fiend to Heartfire. You deal 4 damage, and then so like your Spitfire gets pumped, as well as you point the 1 damage again, and then it gets pumped again. So you can actually get 3 off of that one. With Torbrand, I think it's like almost lethal at that point.
Probably. Yeah.
So just with that one creature or 3 or 4 cards.
Oh, I guess we didn't bring up everybody's favorite lizard.
So everybody's little favorite lizard. You got
Yep.
Scorch Spitter, 1 mana, 1/1. When it attacks, it deals 1 damage. So and then of course it has its 1.
When it attacks, that's another 1 damage, and it
it's trigger, and then it does trigger the
Spitfire.
The Spitfire, yeah.
Yep.
So Gingerbread, I think, is an interesting card. Could be. It just happens to have to be in this
list.
list.
We can talk about my favorite Planeswalker.
So yeah, Matt's favorite Planeswalker, Cheryl Blossom.
Yep.
So Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, 3 mana. Really only 1 ability on here for this deck. I mean, there's kind of a second one. So her 0 making 2 1/1s.
Yeah, and you can flashback Heartfires, which is really good. And people always tend to forget that she does have a -2 ability.
Yeah.
You can flash things back, and it's really good. And I think we've almost gotten through the entire deck list. We just have a couple of...
So you get like 2 shocks.
Yeah, 2 shocks.
Knows what it
Everybody
is.
knows what shock does. We'll throw that on the screen for a second.
1 mana, 2 damage. You kind of remove a blocker if it's in the way. Small blocker. And then
we do have 4 light up the stages just to kind of refill your hand, if you will.
Keeps you going.
Yep.
You're going to lose some 1/1s along the way.
Yep.
It's just inevitable.
I didn't actually save images for the sideboard, so I guess
we did miss the 1 land. I guess the
Castle Embereth.
Castle Embereth. Yeah. So you attack. You put the triggers on the stack. You let your triggers resolve. Use your Embereth.
Yeah.
Pump your team. Just some extra damage. So
I guess we can bring the list back up and talk about the sideboard. So there are 2 Cosmotronic Waves, and you could run that or Tectonic Rift for the Golos matchup. In 9 days, that probably won't matter. But with Cosmotronic Wave, it's all creatures can't block this turn, rather than just creatures without flying.
Yeah.
So it does get around like Hydroid Crisis. Then we have, I don't even know what Embereth's Shield is. Destroy Artifact, I think.
I don't know. Here.
I think that's right. So that's just, I mean, it kills Golos.
Yeah.
Oh, you have the deck right there.
Yeah, I have the deck right here.
Yeah. Experimental Frenzy, obviously, just card advantage.
So, Embereth Shieldbreaker, destroy target artifact. It's a 2/1 for 2. Oh, and it is a knight. So
okay. So it'd be
it doesn't trigger off of the it doesn't trigger with Cavalcade, but
yes, you can flashback Spectacle from Light Up the Stage.
Yep.
Because you're actually casting the spell.
What's different is it doesn't say from your hand.
Right. Yep.
So that's always been the key to that.
Yep. And then 4 Scorching Dragonfire is just removal, basically. So that deck with the sideboard, I think, was right around $60 on TCG Player for market price. So if you find good deals, you can probably build it for even cheaper than that.
Most of it is commons and uncommons, and it's actually a fairly good deck.
Yeah, it's like your Glass Cannon free win deck.
Yeah.
Like, if everything goes right, you're probably winning the game on turn 4 or 5. And if they put up any sort of big fight, you're probably losing the game.
Yep.
I don't have notifications on this scene. I don't know who just followed. But thanks. And then I was playing this a lot on Arena just to do my dailies, and it felt like if I didn't have Cavalcade, I couldn't win the game.
Yeah.
So it almost felt like I had to mulligan into it. So that might be your strategy if you play this deck.
Yeah, and the other thing about like with the addition of Torbrand in this deck, your 1/1s actually attack for 3.
Yeah.
So you do get a little bit more out of
a little bit of
your
reach,
deck.
really.
Yeah. So drawing a 1/1 later in the game isn't as bad as it was prior to Torbrand being.
All right. So what we're gonna do? We're going to be back in just a minute. We're gonna open up another scene to do the deck tech for the Golgari Adventures deck. So don't go anywhere.